What's up, everyone? Mike here with another episode of Options in Action, where we take beginner concepts and strategies and we turn them into advanced lenses from the tastytrade platform. We've talked about everything from call options, put options, implied volatility, what have you. Today, we're talking about number of occurrences. Number of occurrences is one of those things that is kind of in the back of your mind as a trader. If you came from a poker background, you probably have heard this before. It comes down to bankroll management. It comes down to not taking too much risk. And it's all for the reason of getting a number of occurrences up to a certain level where you can start to realize those probabilities that are implied. So we're going to take a look at a couple of different things. This is probably going to be a quick one because I think it just boils down to a handful of things overall when it comes to number of occurrences and understanding how it impacts your risk as an options trader. But let's dive into the tastytrade platform right now. So I've got this SPY short put spread pulled up here. And really for me, number of occurrences matters a lot more for defined risk trades versus undefined risk trades. Now, number of occurrences from a textbook definition standpoint is simply generating a large number of occurrences so that your realized probabilities closer align with your implied probabilities. Another way to think about that in a really simple way is your coin flip example. If you flip a coin that is either heads or tails 5 times, you could have 100% of those results be tails or 100% of those results be heads. But you know that in the long run, that's never going to be the case. The more you flip a coin 1,000 times, 10,000 times, 100,000 times, the more you flip that coin, the closer that probability and realized result is going to get to 50% heads, 50% tails. But until then, you have this super volatile result because there's not enough occurrences to get you to that realized probability of 50% when you're flipping that coin. Same sort of thing with options trading, right? And same sort of thing with poker. If you have 2 aces in a Texas Hold'em game against 2 2s or 2 5s, you have a 4-to-1 winning probability. If you do it just once, though, you can lose that hand. Same exact example. So with SPY and with defined risk trades, I think keeping your risk super small or digestible enough to where you can withstand a lot of losers in a row, that's really what number of occurrences boils down to at the end of the day. Your ability to withstand variance against you, and that comes down to trade size. So for us, especially with defined risk, I like to lean a little bit smaller in my defined risk trade size because there's not enough manipulation, there's not enough defensive maneuvers that I can deploy to offset risk. So if I have a $10,000 account, I like to say no more than 5% in risk for any position. So I like to get closer to 1 or 3% for defined risk trades. If I have an undefined risk trade that I intend to manage through time and manipulate through time, then sure, I can go up to 5%. So on a $10,000 account, that would be $500. On a $100,000 account, that is $5,000. For defined risk trades, though, what do you have in terms of defensive mechanics if you're not changing the risk in the trade? You can really only roll this put spread out in time before it goes in the money, and you can do that for a credit. Technically, you can roll put spreads that are in the money out in time for a debit if they're in the money, but you have a scenario where you're paying a debit, you're reducing your max profit, you still need a directional move, you're adding additional risk. It's just not something you want to add up over time. Same kind of idea. Number of occurrences. If you do this 100 times where you're paying debits, increasing your risk, reducing your max profit, it's not going to be good. So defined risk trades, I like to trade smaller with defined risk trades for that reason. And it's really because you don't have a lot of defensive mechanics to manipulate the trade. Now, with a undefined risk trade, I think there's more flexibility here. That doesn't mean I'm going crazy with my trade size because I know that if I sell a put, it can be a loser, even if it's a 70%, 80%, 90% probability of being out of the money at expiration. This put here, the 731 put for the next 31 days, is a 90% pop right now. That means 10% of the time, I'm going to have a loser on my hands. So how big is that loser relative to my portfolio? But really, going back to the point of manipulation, I know that if I can hold this trade and I have $100,000 and I sell a put in SPY and I'm using $11,000 in buying power, that is still a large trade for buying power relative to the account size, but I know I can manipulate that trade. I could buy back the 731 put in the 30-day cycle for 200 bucks. I can go to October and I can roll it, if I wanted to, roll it to the same strike and pick up another $300, basically doubling my premium received. Or I could buy it back in September at the 730 strike, and I could roll it down to the 720 in October. And this is going to yield me a credit. If I make this adjustment where I'm buying back the put in September, rolling out and down to the 720 put in October, what have I done to my risk? Well, really, I've reduced my intrinsic value risk potential here. And that's simply because I've moved my 730 short put down to the 720 short put another month out, but I've also picked up another $200. So this not only reduces my risk by moving my intrinsic value risk potential, but I'm also picking up another $200 on top of whatever I sold this put for, reducing my basis another $200 further below my new strike. That's 11 points lower. So all that to say, if I have an undefined risk trade and my intention is to stay in that trade for the long haul and manipulate it for the long haul, I know I have so much more flexibility from a defensive standpoint that number of occurrences isn't really something that's in my mind. But defined risk trades where you only have one trade management tactic to defend the trade, which is just rolling out in time, again, without adjusting the risk in the trade, there's a lot less you can do. And for that reason, you really need to focus on trade size and running those over 100 times, 1,000 times. If you have a high probability trade, you got to get to that high win rate result to get those profitability metrics in your favor. With undefined risk trades, you can manipulate them so much that I think it's less important, but holistically, the rule applies, the guideline still applies. If you have a trade that you are running and it's a 70% probability or a 60% probability, realize that over a handful of occurrences, you can have all losers on your hand, even if you have a really high probability of success. So you have to get to those large number of occurrences to generate those results, those occurrences, to get to that expected probability or get closer to that expected probability. And ideally, that aligns with high probability trades, short premium trades where you're picking up premium over time for taking that risk. And if you're trading defined risk exclusively, I think being more patient and not necessarily forcing a number of occurrences to get to those numbers, but being more patient to where you're really happy with where your trade is or you're really happy with your entry point, I think goes a long way because, again, you don't have a lot of defense in those trades. So you want to give yourself the best possible scenario that you believe for that type of strategy to work in your favor. And just give you that better scenario to start with. But let me know what you think in the comments and the YouTube chat. Let me know how you are utilizing number of occurrences, whether it's from the debit side, whether it's from the credit side of trades. But really at the end of the day, to put it simply, undefined risk, I'm less worried about number of occurrences because I can just totally change the trade and manipulate it however I see fit, especially if it's a short put or a strangle for that matter. And I have a lot more flexibility than a defined risk trade where my risk is constrained, but so is my defensive mechanic toolbox. But again, let me know what you think. Please like this video, subscribe to the tastylive channel, and we'll see you on the next episode of Options in Action.